Okay, I'm making a quick video to discuss the Death Ride combat system, and basically I'm not too taken with it, and I'll explain why I'm not taken with it. Because it's complicated and fiddly. It's a system that is much better suited to smaller conflicts and maps. It'd probably be suited better to something like double the size of an ASL game, rather than as it's set up here. And I'll show you. For example, we've got a unit here, which is part of this unit over here. So he's trying to move away, but he's within opportunity fire range of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8, 9, maybe even 10 units have got a chance of putting opportunity fire down on him. So say they did, they're all allowed to fire at that unit once. So you got 20 attacks, but every time you fire, these Overwatch units can all fire at the opportunity fire. So say there were 10 units firing and 3 Overwatches, that's 30 different attacks just to move that unit possibly 1 hex. Admittedly, once you've done your opportunity fire on a unit, you can't fire at it again, not even to do defensive fire first. So say I did do that, and then I moved, and I managed to get right in close, only using half my movement, and I got in close to one of these units here. So already we've conducted 30 attacks, but I'd be able to do an attack at a -2 for the unit that had moved. So that would be 31 attacks. And say I've moved into the defensive fire range, which is adjacent to a unit that had an opportunity fire. That unit could also have a fire. So I'd have 32 separate attacks as a result of 1 unit moving. Now obviously you won't do that, because as your units get suppressed, all these Overwatch units are really suppressing the potential fire. But you can see how fiddly it could get. And there's other things here, because you can move units. I can move a unit from one formation, then I could fire something, then I could move a couple more, then I could fire, then I could move and fire. I don't have to do all my moves first and things like that, which makes it a really dynamic system. But on top of that, we've got, not only do you have a basic chart of odds, but you've got this chart here, which is applying multipliers or even divisors, if it's times 0.5, I suppose. So they affect the actual totals that which are result on this column. You've got the fact that things like suppression, like a level 2 suppression, reduces your attack factors by 40% and increases your defense factors by 40%. So you're constantly working out these odds, these fractions. And because not an opportunity fire, but if you're doing a regular fire, you can combine fire from loads of different hexes. So you're going to have to write them down. So some will be multiplying by 1.5, some would be by 0.5, some by 1, some would have a 40% reduction because of suppression, some would have 20% suppression, reduction on firepower by other suppressions. Sometimes you can fire at short and range for both your primary and your secondary. And then you got all these little odds and things, all these Dyro modifiers. it gets to be a struggle, and I'm not convinced that I'm prepared to take this on any further, unfortunately. I think if you're going to do a system like this, it should be done the way everyone else does it. If you're going to do it at this scale, i.e. you move all your stuff and then you fire all your stuff. And when you do an opportunity fire, that's it. You get one opportunity fire. You don't get one for every unit that moves in your range. Things are made worse by the fact you haven't got counters for everything either. You know, you haven't got any move counters, you haven't got any fired counters, you haven't got any opportunity fire counters. You've got other things factoring in here. You can have counter battery fire. So if you fire any artillery, another unit can counter battery that, which can stop your artillery from firing. Now, the one thing they have done with this, if you fire your artillery, you can only use it once per turn. Now, can you imagine if you could use your artillery once every time a unit moves into its range? That would just be horrifying. So I don't know. I'll struggle with it a little bit again. I'm going to try some movement down here against this German reconnaissance. These couple of German reconnaissance platoons, and just see how I get on. But this just isn't doing it for me, this. It really isn't.